Hello, welcome back to the final episode of this four-part webinar series. And you've guessed it, this is webinar 4. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of personalization, how and when to connect with your customers. And within today's webinar, we're going to talk about how to balance emotional and transactional elements in your loyalty program, when to use SMS or email direct messaging in your programs, and also understand a little bit about privacy-first data collection and best practices amongst industries. Now, since this is the last episode of the four-part webinar series, we do have 3 other episodes for you to check out that builds upon the whole journey until today. So this webinar is actually taken out from our 2025 APAC Consumer Loyalty Report. If you haven't already, do download your copy in the link below. We're hearing the word personalization thrown around a lot within the industry today. And I'm sure whatever industry you're in, be it F&B, retail, or even services, you're hearing personalization being more and more used. But one of the gaps that we are seeing within personalization is that not many businesses actually understand what it means to actually personalize and how to actually implement that within your team itself. Some of the few questions that we're seeing people ask is, are we actually being customer-centric? How do we then differentiate demographical versus contextual personalization? And how far is too far in personalization in terms of data privacy services? So understanding and responding to this behavior is being able to understand the new consumer loyalty model. Today's APAC consumers shift rapidly between transaction-seeking and experience-seeking behaviors, often within the same shopping journey. Traditional static segments like discount hunters or premium buyers no longer tell the full story. Our research actually shows that 76% of consumers today now regularly switch between value-seeking and experience-seeking behaviors depending on the context, which means consumers today are living in a constant switch of 2 modes, value and experience. What I mean by this is, for example, a 27-year-old professional might spend her Saturday morning meticulously comparing prices on a vacuum cleaner across multiple websites and using cashback apps to save every possible dollar. And this is her within her transaction-seeking behavior. She tracks prices for weeks and finally purchases when she finds maybe a 30% discount code. But on the same Saturday itself, she meets her friends at a trendy cafe where she happily spends a whopping $20 on an elaborately presented matcha latte without batting an eye, even posting it on Instagram and considering the premium price completely justified for the experience. And this is her within her experience-seeking behavior. Now, traditional marketing would actually label her as a discount hunter or premium buyer, but she's actually both, depending on the context and product category. For practical purchases, she's extremely price conscious, but for social experience, for somehow, or for self-care, she prioritizes the feeling and memory over the cost. Now, you might be wondering, this is probably because it's within different categories, but within the same category context in itself, we're seeing the same behavioral modeling throughout. You might use a coupon and wait for a sale to buy a basic phone charger, which is you in a transaction-seeking mode, but you would pay full price for the latest model of a phone because of the experience and the status it provides, and that is you within an experience-seeking mode. That is why rigid customer segmentation models are becoming less and less effective. The same person can be extremely price-sensitive in one moment and experience-focused in the next. So, understanding motives actually can help you in your first step of personalization, in knowing when your customers is in the value mode. For example, having price comparisons. This could also look like checking their points on your loyalty programs, abandoning carts when things are not on sale, and also subscribing to things like price drops alert, and is also active through seasonal sales. And when they're in experience mode, your customers usually are checking in with new arrivals, paying extra for express shipping, comparing in-store versus online, but also not minding the gap if it's more convenient for them, and also having social media activeness and engagement within your brand, and also communal participation. All in all is to say that your customers' values should be tied within both emotional and transactional value today. Not all personalization are made equal. To what level and what degree of personalization you need to put in to create an impact is when you are able to understand that personalization today needs to be contextual, not just demographical. Now, in our last session, we talked about the touchpoint mapping journey. And in our last webinar, which is understanding your customers through omni-channel journeys, we introduced this touchpoint mapping journey as a means for you to track and understand the kinds of touchpoints that your business has with your customers. But today, we're going to talk a bit about the emotional value and transactional value within each touchpoint in your customer journey. And you might realize that your customer touchpoints are actually ping-ponging between emotional and transactional experiences when your customers shop with your brand and even throughout your retention journey. Enabling both elements in your customer journey is equally just as important. So for example, within the acquisition stage itself, transactional elements could look like having welcome bonuses, first purchase discounts, or even double points. But within the emotional elements, welcome emails are there to supplement that experience and provide a more personal touch point for your customers. And so it's the same within engagement stages such as point multipliers, tier benefits, as well as flash sales, which provide immediate transactional elements. But within emotional elements in itself, there is also an element of member recognition and member-only experience that you can use to support that experience of the transactional elements. And again, through retention stages, having loyalty rewards, status perks, as well as birthday offers that recurs annually. These are some of the things that you can supplement within the emotional element context. So things such as community events, personal milestones, and also hearing and also responding back to the voice of your customer are some of the things that you can do immediately to add that emotional element point. So now you know the difference between transactional and emotional elements. Another important thing to note is to be able to identify high impact moments to tailor your messaging. So the timeline for this could be when your member approaches reward or tier threshold, when your member explores new categories or benefits, when they're actively considering purchase or redemption, or immediately post-purchase or immediately after a milestone. So how you can maximize these touch points are things like this. So mainly the way you can maximize high impact moments is to provide clarity, is to provide high visuals to be able to entice them, engage them, and to help them remember the interaction that they just had. So things like showing real-time progress updates, highlighting relevant benefits, offering instant rewards when they are reaching a certain threshold, or celebrating the milestones that they've already just passed are things and ways that you can maximize these high impact moments. Speaking about communication, one of the primary ways that businesses are still using to communicate with their customers are email marketing, SMS, as well as direct messaging. But one of the biggest challenges that these businesses are facing is they're sending emails that does not actually reach the customers. And what we're talking about is actually being in junk mail territory. So stepping out of junk mail territory, according to our year-end APAC survey, 65% of businesses are actively using content creation and data analysis tools for personalization, with trigger-based communications being a key focus. So these are some of the things that we've collected from our clients to understand how they can best reach their customers. So when you think about open rates, you think about relevancy, right? So these businesses actually trigger time-sensitive communications through the right channels. And this actually enables a sophisticated blend of email and SMS marketing, and an omni-channel combination of SMS and email actually increased conversion rates by 47% compared to single channel communication methods. So the question here is, when do you then prioritize email and when do you then prioritize SMS or direct messaging? Now, here are two simple ways to actually think about this. Email priority often prioritizes overviews as well as long-term journeys. So things such as your monthly point statements, tier status progress updates, personalized reward catalogs, birthday month special offers, or even seasonal campaign previews are some of the things that you can use your emails for. And these things are things that you can create in a very engaging template to entice your customers and to help them remember you and your brand even better. Now, having SMS and direct messaging, you don't really have that flexibility for visual enticement. So these are some of the things that you can prioritize for instant action. So things such as flashpoint multipliers, same-day redemption offers, points expiry reminders, as well as instant reward claims are really good things that you can use to reach out to your customers through SMS and direct messaging. Aside from being able to effectively communicate your member benefits to your members, one of the biggest challenges that we're actually seeing in businesses trying to scale their experience for their customers is being able to obtain relevant data. With all the data regulation imposed by countries as well as laws and regulations, the best way for businesses to understand their customers today is understanding zero-party data. Now, zero-party data is not something new, but is one of the things that businesses are realizing at their disposal they can easily use to have a two-way communication with their customers and also exercise that feedback to grow their base more. Now, zero-party data is information willingly shared by your consumers. It is different from first-party data, which is collected through browsing behavior. It includes things like personal identifiable information, such as name, email, and phone, demographics, which is your age, could be your gender, could be your race, and preferences and style information that was willingly shared by their consumers. And zero-party data is mainly built on trust and value exchange. Now, it may seem very simple, but there are very little platforms that actually allows businesses to collect ZPD on the get-go. But when you have that platform, collecting ZPD could be very easy through progressive profiling over time, such as if you have a loyalty program, it could be progressive profiling throughout visits, or also having a clear value exchange after each touch point. This helps you have a constant momentum of building trust and value exchange while your customers are going through your member program. Within your industry context in itself, collecting ZPD is easy because you only need to collect things that are relevant to your industry. So for example, if you're in F&B, collecting things such as phone numbers, visit frequencies, as well as their favorite menu items are some of the things that you can look into. If you're in retail, things such as size preferences, having past purchase, having a color preference, or preferred categories are some of the things that you can look into as well. And if you're within the service industry, you can look at their service history, appointment preferences, and key concerns to help them have a more personalized journey, but also help you scale your offerings to them. ZPD can actually be collected universally, whether you're online or offline, no matter where your business operates. So how you can action these data that you've obtained could look like saving their preferences, having targeted recommendations, or even having personalized follow-ups with your customers, depending on the data that you have collected so far. There are a few great pathways your loyalty program can help you collect zero-party data. And one of the pathways could look like registration processes, having a great feedback form from your customers, or even having engaging and exciting quizzes for your customers to fill out. So this actually creates a very seamless process for your customers to fill out their data and also their preferences, while also helping you collect really great and relevant information to help them better enhance their membership experience. And this actually really works because your trust framework actually already exists and there is a clear value exchange during these processes. For example, you can reward them with extra points when they fill out forms or even engage with quizzes. And there's also the opportunity to progressively profile within a unified platform. Now, third-party platforms rarely can give you that same type of experiences, and having a loyalty program gives you also the ability to gamify and makes your engagement strategic. And there are so many businesses today adapting to its loyalty programs and also enhancing their loyalty programs. And there's so many exciting trends that people are tapping into. But few of the key trends that we're actually seeing in loyalty in the next few months or even the next couple of years are hyper-personalization. So these can look like behavioral trigger campaigns and even AI-powered recommendations. And another key trend that we're we're also seeing our brands providing a unified loyalty experience across different brands. So this could look like a larger umbrella brand having a larger community for different loyalty programs. And this unifies redemption experiences and also allows the brand to share customer insights within one small brand to the other. And with the need for more and more instant gratification, we're also seeing a shift to an increased instant reward opportunities within loyalty programs itself. And this could look like the platforms that your customers are rewarded through, such as mobile first redemption. And we're also seeing dynamic reward value. So however your customers are interacting with your brand, there's always a way to engage and reward them, not just through traditional profiling, not just through traditional reward systems anymore. And in the need to balance experiences and transactional value within businesses, we're also seeing local market adaptation within loyalty programs itself. And that also looks like having market-specific rewards and local partnership campaigns to be able to drive that emotional element within local loyalty programs. And in terms of strategizing your marketing strategy, marketing teams are actually shifting away from just tracking open rates, engagement rates within social media channels, as well as email channels, to having a better understanding of your customer journey. So that's why customer journey mapping is one of the key things that we think is very important in engaging your customers in a more efficient way. So now you've understood the elements at play in today's consumers, you're able to also identify when to maximize high impact moments and when to progressively grow your understanding of your growing pool of customer base. You're on the right track to personalization. Personalization is a journey of being in tune to feedback, not just to scale, but also to capture your customer's attention at the right time. And that wraps it up for the final episode of this 4-part webinar series. And of course, there's so much more to learn about loyalty and marketing in itself. So if there's any other topics that you might be interested in, please feel free to drop it in the comment box below. And in the meantime, do check out our website for more case studies and resources.